Welcome to this tutorial where we will learn how to implement a classic Tetris game using Java. Tetris is a game that many of us cherish and has become an icon in gaming. Today, we will break down the process into manageable steps, making it easy for even beginners to follow along. Before we dive into coding, let's overview the components that make up our Tetris game. We'll need a game board, some tetrominoes, the different shapes, collision detection, and a way to manage game state. We'll start by setting up our Java project. If you have an IDE like IntelliJ or Eclipse, create a new Java project named Tetris. Let's define the constants we will need, such as board width, height, and colors. In Java, we will typically do this in a separate class. Create a new class named Tetris Constants. Now that we have our constants in place, let's move on to creating the main game class. Create a new class called Tetris Game. This class will handle the game loop, drawing the board, and managing the current tetramino. Next, we will implement the game loop. To do this, we will need to utilize a timer that ticks every specified amount of time and updates the game state accordingly. Now, we need to create our board. Create another class named board, which will manage the game grid and the tetramino positions. This class will also be responsible for checking collisions. Let's define the tetraminos next. Create a class named Tetramino, which models the different shapes in Tetris. We'll create an array that holds the positions of each shape. With our tetraminos defined, we'll want to randomly spawn them. Back in the Tetris game class, let's create a method called spawnTetramino, which randomly selects a tetramino from our predefined list. To actually render our game, we need to draw the grid and the current tetramino. Override the paint method in our Tetris game class to do this. Next, let's draw our current tetramino. We will also need key controls to move the tetramino left, right, and down. We can do this by implementing key listener in our Tetris game class. Let's define the method to move the current tetramino. We will need to check for collisions when trying to move. To complete the game logic, we need to implement a method to check if a row is filled, and if so, clear it. We also need to manage current position within the game loop. Now that we have a solid foundation, we can talk about adding sound or improving graphics using libraries like JavaFX, but that's beyond the basic implementation. Before finishing up, let's create a simple game over mechanic. When a new tetramino spawns, we'll check if it collides immediately with our board. Congratulations! You have now built a working Tetris game in Java. Remember to tweak the code, add features, and make it your own. In this tutorial, we covered how to set up a basic Tetris game, manage tetraminos and game state, and handle user inputs. Now the adventure continues as you can expand this project in many ways. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you enjoyed the video. Check out the links in the description for additional resources and code repositories. Happy coding!